Hi, this is Michelle. Like Cheryl said, and I'm going to go over the review of the direct care innovations and how it started and how we're going. To start out with, as you all know, we started with DCI August 20th. The state of Texas every 2 years puts out bids for a new EVV vendor. And this year, Authenticare did not get that bid, and the state did not announce who was going to get it until August. So Imagine did not want to get stuck with who they chose because realistically, Authenticare was not a fantastic program, and I couldn't even imagine if we had ended up with somebody that was worse. So we took the initiative and went out and found a system that Imagine now pays for, that is the DCI innovations. And so far, we've had a few hiccups, but it has been really, really working well. That very first payroll that we did, August 20th to September 2nd, we processed 4,839 punches. We had a total of 80 punches that did not make the payroll due to not being signed off or some other issues like that. So it was a fantastic very first one. And by the time we finished the final batch on payroll, we had actually processed over 6,000 shifts because our second batch included even more than the first one, which is actually about normal. So we actually ran a regular payroll on that very first one. And by the time everything was done, after all the contacts, we only had 32 shifts that did not make that very first payroll due to lack of response from the employer. So it was a wonderful first payroll, even though we did have some hiccups with everybody trying to get able to log in and some issues of maybe not being able to clock in correctly. I mean, it was a very rough first week, but by the end, we did a regular payroll. And that is because as you, the employers, did a wonderful job educating your staff and getting everybody moving on, and then communicating to the Imagine staff what the issues were. So we actually were able to make a regular payroll and get that many punches successfully processed. So that is a fantastic job, and it is thanks to you guys. So thank you very, very much for that. Also note, when we talk about having to go to the DCI web portal, there's the email, the web address that you'll go to. It's ie.dcisoftware.com. You can go to it via a web browser, or you can also use the browser on your mobile phone. Later on, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Next slide.
Yes, here we go.
So moving on, some of the most common issues that we are seeing, and here are some of the fixes on how to do that as well. So one of the issues is there's two things that we talk about. There's signing off, and that is one of the issues. Signing off is how the timesheet is digitally signed. So that's the equivalent of that paper timesheet where you're putting the signature. All option 1 and option 3 employers have to sign off on every single shift. And that can be by putting in the employer PIN. That could be by the employer signature. That could be by the photo that's taken that matches to the master. It can be by web portal sign off, but every option 1 and option 3 employer has to sign off. So some of the issues we found is where it's portal sign off, and we can't do anything until the sign off has been completed. Some of them are the employee has signed. Well, in that case, we have to change it to portal sign off because we still need the employer to do that signature. So you'll see some of them where you'll get a notice saying sign off needs to be completed or portal sign off needs to be completed. That is an option 1 and option 3. So that is who has to sign off on the punches for the option 1 and the option 3. The next step is the completed at the time of clock in. You can actually, when you clock out, do your signature there. You've done your portal sign off. It's actually been completed. If you do a historical punch, which is a punch that was not done in real time, you forgot to clock in and out, there was an issue and you had pushed the wrong button, every historical punch has to be signed off in the DCI portal. And that's where you can go to that web address we had on the last slide that talks about it. All sign-offs and all approvals, and option 1 employers do their own approvals. Imagine staff do the approvals of all signed off shifts for option 3 still need to be completed by the traditional due dates that were the paper timesheets were due. So
Michelle, may
at
I stop you
midnight,
right there? Michelle, may I stop you? We have
sure.
2 people that just joined us. The 2 that actually we're having a third one now. Make sure you're on mute, and please make sure that you turn your video camera off. I don't want to switch the screen back and do that manually because I don't want to disrupt the presentation. So y'all would please do that. The 3 that I just admitted, I'd appreciate that. So sorry, Michelle.
No problem. So all sign-offs
Mhm.
for option 1 and option 3 employers need to be completed by that Sunday at midnight with the grace period of noon on Monday, where before paper timesheets were due. All approvals of option 1 employers also need to be completed by midnight on that Sunday where paper timesheets used to be due, or by noon of the grace period on Monday. So you can still look at the payday chart and get your schedule of when you need to have every shift signed off, as well as if you're an option 1 employer, every shift approved. Another issue that we're having is free text in the drop-down menus. Free text actually is a mandatory thing. It is not optional. And the reason for that is looking at the regs of documentation for the program specifically, it says it must be a unique note. The drop-down box is to make the things that are not unique able to, you can just check box it and not have to write the same thing day to day. But then you need to put a free text note in of what did that shift make it unique. And it does not have to be a paragraph. It does not have to be a book. It just needs to be something that makes the shift that you did unique. And yes, there's probably a lot of things that are repeatedly the same. You might, if you have a morning shift, you might every morning still assist with breakfast, assist with getting dressed for the day. But something unique had to have happened that day. And it could be, that they decided they did not like eggs that day for breakfast. That's what makes it a unique note. So not only is the drop-down menu mandatory, but the free text is also mandatory. So have your employees, when they're doing the log notes, make sure they put something in that's unique in that free text as well. If they forget to put the free text note in, they can actually go to their entries in their app or on the web portal and add a note after the fact to get that note. Next slide.
Sure.
Accessing the splash screens. One of the wonderful features that we liked when we were looking at the DCI program is these splash screens. What the splash screen is at the very beginning, when you log in on the app or on the web, you'll have this message. And this is where, imagine, we can convey to you something that's very important and let you see it immediately. And it's something that is not just meant to be acknowledged, but to be read before you acknowledge it. So as soon as you log in, you're going to have this message that has to be acknowledged before you can get to the main dashboard. After you acknowledge the message, it's actually going to go down to a news post. So if you acknowledge it and then you forget, like, okay, oh, that's right, they said something and I can't remember where. From your dashboard, either on the app or on the web, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a section that's labeled news post, and it gives you a short little blurb of what that news post is. If you click into it, it'll let you see the whole post, and it'll let you click on the links that we put in there, and it's going to stay there for until a period of time where that news post is no longer applicable anymore. So when those splash screens come up, check those because they're important. Some things we might just make as a news post because it's for information that you need, but it's not vital that you make sure you read it. So just check your news posts on a regular basis to make sure there's not something new. But if there is a splash screen that pops up, it is important to read, and you can still go back and refer to it in the news post. Next slide.
Okay, so this is going to be presented by Janice Norwood. Janice may have a problem unmuting because she had some weather storms this morning in her area.
Hey, I think I've got it here. Do I?
Yay,
Yeah.
great.
Sorry about that. Okay, this is Janice. To access your email messages in DCI. So we are sending emails to you in the DCI portal if they pertain to something that you need to do within some of your employee shifts. So you will receive a notification at the email address that you have on file with us, and it's going to be waiting for your response. So from the DCI web portal dashboard, you will click on the envelope at the top right side by your name. So you'll see your name up at the top right, and there's a little envelope. You can click there. And then it will bring you up the messages that you can see. And here's an example of one. It says you have a new message. You can click on that link and it'll tell you exactly what you need. The next slide.
Okay, this is the help email. Yes, Janice, this is you.
Yes, so what we wanted to do, because we want to make sure that we can very quickly respond to any questions that you have about DCI. So we've created an email address strictly for DCI questions. You can see here it's DCI help at imagine-enterprises.org. So we are all monitoring that inbox at all times. I am the employer services manager for West and North Texas, and then Taylor Morales is the employer services manager for Central Texas and the Gulf Coast. So Taylor and I are mostly monitoring that email address. If we need to escalate it to someone else, whether it's a payroll question or whatever, then we've got immediate access to our coworkers who can help us to answer your questions. This is going to be much more efficient for you to use that, rather than if you were to send something to me directly, I might not see it right away, or I could be out of the office, and we want to get you your answers as quickly as possible. So please, if you have anything DCI specific, send it to DCI help at imagine-enterprises.org.
All right.
The next slide.
This is going to be in regards to CDS trackers and DCI, and I believe that Michelle is going to speak about this.
Yes, historically, we have been sending the trackers via email. And if there was not an email on file, we have been mailing those trackers. So in order to keep it even more secure, but we've had people where they've had issues with it being encrypted, we're now going to send those trackers via the DCI email service. So what will happen is you'll get a secured message in your DCI app that says you have a new message. And inside will be an attachment that has the PDF file of the tracker. And I know we do have a few employers that currently we have actually been sending it as an attachment because they prefer to print them. So you can actually print these attachments out and keep them, or just keep them in your DCI envelope. At the same time, like Janice just said, you will get a message in your regular email that says you have a secure message. So we're hoping by doing this that it eliminates some of the issues of sending those encrypted emails. And it also will make it easier for you to find them, because I do know when we sent them to some of the regular emails like Gmail and Yahoo, occasionally they actually went to spam. If the employer does not have access to the internet, we will continue to send the CDS trackers by the regular email we have been using, or even by mail. If it's one of those that doesn't have an email address, we will still continue to mail them.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to be talking about in DCI approval of time, and Nancy's going to present this information, and this does tie back to getting emails in DCI. So Nancy, would you like to present?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wait, before you begin, Nancy, hold on just a minute. I'm going to admit someone. Just give me a second. I want to let them get in and tell them. Just one moment, please. So I just admitted someone. Would you please turn your video camera off and mute yourself, please? Thank you. All right, Nancy.
Okay, as Michelle said in the 5th slide, is that the approvals are due the same time, Sunday before midnight and Monday grace period of 12 noon. And the only reason your punch will not get approved is these reasons right down here: shifts longer than 24 hours. Also, if there's a 24-hour shift, we're going to contact you to make sure that's correct. Shifts not verified by employee and shift not signed off by the employer. They have to be signed off by the employer. Shift signed off by the employee rather than employer, that won't get sent through. And also the pictures have to match the client. Cannot be a picture of a picture. Cannot be a picture of a door. Cannot be a picture of a wheelchair. Has to be the client, and it has to be a live picture of them. And also, Michelle touched on the free notes. We do have to have those because when we go to approve it, it will send us a warning saying that you need at least 5 free text notes. And if all this gets done, everything will go smooth and we can get everything approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay, so Janice and Taylor are going to be talking about pending versus approved status of a shift. We've gotten lots of questions about this, and so they're going to drill it down to explain further to make sure everyone understands.
Okay, and I'll be taking over from here. This is Taylor Morales. So some of the DCI statuses we get questions on are, unverified, pending, approved, batched, and paid. So unverified is when a shift is created either by Janice or I, or the employer creates a shift for the employee. The employee needs to verify that shift in order for it to go to the next step of pending. How I explain this is both parties need to agree to the shift to go onto their timesheet so that way it can get paid. Pending is where the shift is not approved yet. Most of the time you need to open the shift to see what action is required. This could be a portal sign off, or this could be pending approval. And as stated earlier, option 3 employers, that approval will come from Imagine Enterprises staff, and option 1 employers, this will come from the employer account themselves. The next portion is going to be approved. This is approved to process for payroll. After that point, it can go to either batched, which is in process, pending verification of available hours, if the IPC, which is the individual plan of care, or the IDRC, which is the diagnosis for eligibility for the services. And then the last one will be paid. This will show what services have been paid, and if there are certain shifts that were entered after the fact that are pending or batched, those have not been paid yet. And once we can resolve whatever issues there are, they can be moved to paid if they are eligible to.
Okay. The next shift, the next slide is going to talk about how to verify a signature. Let me see, I may be a little bit out of order here. Nope, that's a client. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see here.
If you want to go to the one about the that one, I'll do the next 2 slides.
This one or the one previous? This one?
This one, yes.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, so there are 3 different ways that you can access the DCI system as a whole. There is the app, there is the mobile web login, / the full site mobile login, and then the web browser itself, like on your desktop or your computer. This slide is specific for, can you please mute yourself, please?
Just one moment. I'm trying to get to that, Taylor, so that I can assist with this. Mute. There we go. Okay, great. All right. So continue from current slide. Here we are. Thank you.
Okay, so how you access the full site
wait a minute. Also, please turn your camera off. We're not, let me see, stop. I'll take care of that right there. We're not taking, to protect privacy, we're asking for cameras to be turned off. And then we're also muting everyone in order for this webinar. So go ahead, Taylor. So sorry.
So here on the slide are 2 different examples of what this mobile login would look like. We have the mobile web login, and then we also have the full site mobile login. They are different. Your full site mobile login is going to be basically like the website, the web portal, like on your desktop or your computer. And so how you get to the full site from your mobile web login is you go to our website, which is that ie.dcisoftware.com, and you
Mhm.
click that go to full site. You do not enter any credentials into this page. You can just go ahead and click go to full site, and it'll take you to this middle image, full site mobile login. You can access this via your Chrome app on your phone or Safari if you are an iPhone user. One thing to note is your PIN number for your login can only be used via the smartphone app or the mobile web login. Otherwise, the password can be used across all platforms, but that PIN is only good for the app and the mobile web login. Okay. Next slide.
There we go.
Okay. So for some people who are not familiar with the mobile app and how to sign off, we've created these images that way you can see. You would log into the mobile app with your credentials. You would click on these 3 horizontal lines in the upper left-hand corner, and this opens your submenu. What you want to look for is that entries requiring sign off, and we've noted it with a little star over to the left.
Mhm.
After that, you will see your sign off entries and how many entries require that sign off. It'll say, in this one, it says 3. At that point, you will hold down on one of those shifts until you see that little blue check mark, and you can go ahead and select all of those, or you can select one of those shifts, select action, and then you will see select all, sign off, reject, or unselect all. You can do it either way. We do recommend that all employers review the shifts before just signing off on them in case there is an error. Say someone accidentally did not clock out and they were clocked in for 24 hours straight. If you sign off on it, it'll go through the next step for approval. Here you will go ahead and sign off on your shifts or reject. You can sign off on some of them or reject some of them. It really just depends after you have reviewed them. Janice will take over from here.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, this is Janice, and I want to show you how to sign off on the mobile website. So it's very similar to what Taylor was just showing you. So when you go into the iedcisoftware.com, remember you're using go to full site, and you want to go to the entries requiring sign off. Then it's going to show you a list of your entries. And again, we want to make sure that you're checking those shifts to make sure that they are correct. If they're not, make sure that you reject it. We can always go back and create a new shift to make that shift correct. So S is for sign off, R is reject. You can select multiple shifts at the same time again. You can select all if they're all correct. You can select all, and then you can hit sign off. That will sign off on all of them if you have them all signed off. Or you can go through individually and reject the ones that are wrong, then sign off on all of the rest of them. So it's very similar to the other website. The next slide. Okay, we want to talk about how to upload a client photo. When you want to use the client photo to clock in and out, remember, it needs to be of the employer. The employer is the one who can actually sign off on your shifts. So if the client and the employer are not the same person, then you would need to do the employer. It's very simple, but it has to be done from the app. So the employer needs to log into the app with their credentials. And then you will go to the 3 horizontal lines in the upper left-hand corner, and you will see the different options that come up. You will click the profile. It's like clicking right next to the client's name. You'll see the client's name come up, and there's a little circle right next to it. So just tap on that, and that's the profile page. Then you will see action in the upper right-hand corner. Once you click on action, you want to click on add photo to add the profile picture. And remember, you have to have access to a camera. So if the mobile app doesn't have access to the camera, you can go to settings on your mobile device and update your camera access for the app. So once you have done that and you want to take your picture, you want to hit confirm. or sorry, I click confirm when you access the photo settings on your phone, and then go to click camera at the bottom middle of the screen to take the picture. So you want to take the picture. If you don't like that picture, you can just hit an X to cancel it out and hit refresh to retake it. Once you get a picture that you're satisfied with, click on the check mark to accept the picture, and then it will give you the option to save. So the next slide. And this is going to be how to upload the master signature of the employer. So this is almost just like the photo. This is when the employee is signing in and they want to do the e-sign for their sign-off method. So again, the employer needs to log into the mobile app, click on the 3 horizontal lines, just like before on the upper left-hand corner, go to profile, the circle next to the client's name, and then click action. And you want to add signature. It will give you the option to confirm, yes, you want to add a signature, and then draw the signature on the mobile device. Again, just like with the picture, if you're not satisfied with it, just clear it, redo it, click save when you're ready to accept that signature. Remember that these are actually approving the shifts at the time of service, so when they clock in and they clock out. So if the employer is not going to be around when the employee is signing in or out, as many of you are going about doing other things, then the portal sign off is probably the best for you, since you won't be there to e-sign or use the picture. So it's strictly your choice. That's why we like having all these choices. Go ahead with the next slide.
Okay.
And I believe Melissa now
Mhm.
is going to talk about some of our payroll services.
That's right. She's going to talk about 5 different topics in payroll. And please know that we are watching the clock, because we had said this would end at 12:45, and we realize everyone has work to go back to. And so we'll try to keep to it as close as possible. And we will also be posting this presentation, the recording, as well as the PowerPoint handout on there if we don't finish everything. All right, Melissa, go ahead.
Okay, my name's Melissa Paris, and I'm going to go ahead and take you through payroll. So the first one is how to change a mailing address and the required documentation. If an employee needs to change their mailing address, they need to provide the following to Imagine Enterprises. You would need to complete a new W-4 with the new mailing address and withholding information. And I will say the reason that's so important is when we send out W-2s or anything else, we need to have a good mailing address. Make sure, please, that the information is clearly printed and legible. It does go into our system, and whatever we can read is what goes into our system. Employees, please be sure that when you scan the documents, the pages are dark enough so that the print can be read. Choose the black and white option instead of color when you scan or print a document. Send the document as a PDF file that is attached to an email. Please don't include it in the body of an email. Next
Melissa,
slide,
may
please.
I ask one point, add one point to this?
Yes.
Employers, we cannot accept a change of an address for the employee through an email from you or through the employee. We do require a new W-4 if that address is changing. This is for security purposes. We just want to make sure we get a signed document that authorized us changing that mailing address. So sorry, Melissa, I just thought of that
No,
talking
that's
point
good.
we didn't add in.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Come on. There we go. Or did I go back one?
Okay.
I think I may have. There we go. That's mailing address. Okay, here we go. There we go. How to
Okay.
change.
So for the banking information, if you need to change that, we do require that you fill out the Imagine Enterprises direct deposit authorization form, and it needs to be signed. We do need either a voided check or a document from the bank with a new account and routing number. Again, this needs to be clear because we have to run it through. Once received, Imagine Enterprises will update the information with our depositor and run a test to ensure the account and routing numbers are valid and to ensure the account is open. For this test, payroll date, a paper check will be mailed on payday. For the next pay date, the payroll will be deposited via direct deposit. Now, it does happen where the account information is sent during an in-process payroll cycle where we've already started the payroll cycle, we cannot change anything if we've already started it. So that means that the test will need to be run with the following payroll, which means that the employee will receive 2 paper checks. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to contact me. Next slide. Our Imagine Enterprises offers a self-service portal for CDS employees where they can obtain their direct deposit pay stubs and their W-2. Exempt employees. This is for somebody that the relationship with their employer makes them exempt, like a parent or a daughter, son, whatnot. So Medicaid and Social Security taxes cannot be taken out of their paycheck if they are exempt. We cannot do it. An employee can ask for additional withholdings to be taken out of their paycheck, though.
And that would be recorded on the W-4, right, Melissa?
Yes, you would need to record that on the W-4.
Right. Oh, and if you have questions about the relationship and the exempt status, there is a form within the new hire packet, relationship disclosure, and it has the information that you check is also at the bottom of that form. There's the IRS publication that also can be accessed to get more information.
Okay.
So going back to the self-service portal, I think this one is out of line. So sorry, we obviously needed to move one around. So go ahead and talk about the portal again.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So this is for the ESS portal. You have to request a PIN from me by email, and it has to be through email because I have to be able to send it to you securely. If you can include your employee ID number, name, and employer name, you might not be able to include your employee ID number because you might not have it yet. So I'll send that out to you. So once you've received your PIN, you open an internet browser and you go to the ESS portal, the paystubs.imagine-enterprises.org. You need to select company Imagine Enterprises from the drop-down menu. Then you click on Create New User, and then you would complete the requested information that it asks. One thing that I will say is on the employee ID, it needs to go in as exactly like it is sent to you. It needs to be all caps, no spaces. Same thing for the PIN number. Don't put any extra spaces or anything like that. The username is not the employee ID. It is a username that the employee comes up with on their own. Once you've put in all that, you will click on Create User, click on Continue after your account has been created. You'll be directed back to the login screen. You enter your username and password, click Login to enter the employee portal home screen. Once you're on the home page, click Employee. Next slide, please. Okay, if you forget your login or password, which does happen, you're going to have to recreate your user account. Contact me, same thing again, just send me an email to reset your PIN. And then the password can only be changed in the portal once you've logged in. So it cannot be reset externally. That's why you have to do the PIN reset. So you're going to do the same thing again. You have to go and create a new user. And there are, like, once you've gotten back in, the drop-down menu options, you've got personal info, profile info, and then for corrections or updates, just go ahead and email me. All address changes, like we talked about, must be submitted using IRS form W-4. The features for the ESS portal, you are able to get your direct deposit pay stubs and your W-2 electronically posted if you provided us authorization to post it electronically when you did your new hire package. You also have your check history, which is your payroll checks. Select view print for the desired pay stub. And then your W-2, you would just select the year and the W-2 copy that is needed. So if you have multiple employers, your employees' IDs, I don't think actually that is correct. They can't be linked to one ESS account. We'll have to go over. Yeah, I know that employers can go in and have all their employees, but I do believe that you have a different PIN for each employer.
I think you're right. And I think this information may have come from an old ESS instruction sheet. So
yeah,
we'll
that would be
definitely
great. But it would be great if we could have that, but we don't. You would have to have a PIN. Like there are some, I've had to send out sometimes 4 PINs for one employee. It does happen. So we cannot do that right now. But if you do need additional assistance gaining access to your information, just please contact me. My phone number is on here, 832-385-9476. And then my email is melissa.paris@imagine-enterprises.org.
Okay. And when we post this, Melissa will review this again to ensure or strike it out. Again, this may have come from old instructions I originally sent out years ago. So if that is inaccurate, we apologize for that, but we'll get it cleaned up.
Yes.
All right, Melissa, payroll cards.
Okay, so we have had some issues with payroll checks not getting delivered and not being received by employees. So Imagine Enterprises will no longer issue paper paychecks. What we're going to do in the future is implement dash cards for CDS employees who currently receive their payroll via a paper check, for new hire employees for their first payroll. And basically what dash cards are, they're debit cards that they're issued to an employee who meet these criteria. We are saying that the effective date is going to be the first quarter of 2024.
Right. And we will be
Next.
distributing information as it becomes available. The employees that Melissa is talking about, they get paper checks. They're pretty much the same. There's anywhere between 26 to 32 employees every payroll cycle that get a paper check. And then it'll also be the new employees that were just hired too, but they're pretty much steady the same names. We'll be communicating with the employees, of course, and the employer to let y'all know what's going on.
Okay.
All right. Okay, y'all. So it's me. Every year, Health and Human Services Commission requires employers to complete the annual employer EBV training. This is located on the HHSC website, and it's on their learning portal. So, and next week, I believe, for the 2023 training that became available on July 23rd, 2023. We've only had a handful of employers take their training. And so we are putting that training information in their dashboard. So for those who haven't, you will be receiving a splash message in the DCI portal sometime next week. And as a reminder, the splash message will not be removed until the employer provides a training certificate to Imagine. So there's a process, and I won't go through all the details, but I wanted to make sure that employers who have a learning portal account already created to remind you how to access, and also someone who may be a new employer and has not taken the HHSC training. Before I go into everything else, when we used Authenticare as our EBVV vendor, they did have an annual training. As Michelle said, we're no longer using Authenticare, and DCI does not require an employer annual training. This is not employees, this is employers, and that has to do with the Health and Human Services Commission of Texas, and this is through their learning portal. So again, I've talked about how to create an account if you don't have one, how to log into your existing account, how to do the search and enroll for the actual name of the training, how to get a training certificate, and then the deadline. Let's see here. Okay. You'll get a splash message. As I said, our goal is to get it up by next Monday or Tuesday, and it will stay there until you take your training. If you have completed the training, but you haven't sent us the training certificate for the July 2023 training, at that day, they had a live webinar. And after that, they put the recorded webinar for that date in the learning portal. So if you've not taken the training, or excuse me, if you have, send me the certificate, email it to me so we can update it, and you won't receive the splash message. Let's see here. So if you would like to submit, actually I just said me, so actually it would be good if you would send the training certificate to the DCI help. That way all things having to do with EBV is in one space. That would be lovely. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the steps, but I did want to show you in DCI the splash message, and you're going to see, if you've not taken the training and provided us with the certificate, you're going to see on the dashboard, you're going to see the name, the training. And this is not correct. That's we are actually going to give you until December 31st. We just set up something in order to do a screenshot so that we could orientate you and let you know where to find this information, because also Michelle loaded the link that you need to click on in order to either log into your existing account with the learning portal or to create one. Okay, again, I've given you the website where to go, and this is going to be how to create an account. These are instructions. They're very detailed. Click here, do this. As you can see, I used a Sharpie. I didn't make this actually a total professional presentation because I just wanted to get the information out to you. So excuse the crudeness there. Once you create your account, if you haven't done this before, you're going to get an email from HHSC, the Learning Portal folks, and just like I received one, and you have to click on the link to confirm your account, and then you can log in to the Learning Portal, and then you can do the search of annual EVV policy webinar, their search tab. And then there's a process. You're going to see webinar recordings, fiscal year 2024, which is the right year, even though this is still, it was recorded in July. And here is the training, but you would click on this and it's going to actually bring you to the training and so forth. There's several different things that you have to go through in order to finish enrolling for the training. I also wanted to point out that last year's recorded webinar is on there, and there's a handout as well. And there's a handout. I said July 23rd, excuse me, it's July 13th. But it's also a handout too, PDF, if you'd like to reference it during the training. Once you get all registered for it, you need to complete the final piece, which is to insert your first name and last name and your email address, because this will help get the certificate to you. You hit register, and then you're going to see the screen that tells you the course. So then you watch it and then follow the steps after that to generate the certificate to come to you. All right. I also wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that we have a really great website, imagine-enterprises.org. On the website, we have electronic visit verification alerts, updates are going to be done, or whatever's out there. EVV will be down, whatever the notices are. We also have our DCI training materials and tips. You can get your new hire packets from there, and the payroll calendar is there. So I just wanted to orientate you to our homepage, our website address, and it's the FMS part of the website. And when we have major announcements on the homepage, this is called the slider area, and we post announcements that you can click on there. Earlier I talked about EVV notices, like weekend notice. They may be doing like a new app release, or there may be maintenance. These notices we post here. So when your staff say, I have to download a new version. Yes, you do. There was an alert. Here it is. So we do put that up there because we want everyone to be informed. And I know we're getting close to 12:45. Also on the website, as you're very well aware, are the training materials for DCI. And we also have underneath financial management, there's a tab for forms, and it has every form for a new hire packet. And then we also, I just put a portion of the pay date chart. Our pay date charts for the current year are also listed on there. We will be posting our 2024 pay date chart sometime mid to late December. Moving forward, because we're almost out of time, because our changing to the EVV system with Direct Care Innovations, this is a proprietary software. This is just it's different than the state approved vendor. So our staff responsibilities have adjusted. So I thought the most important piece is to let y'all know who to contact and what their roles are so that you get the right person, because we don't want people not knowing who to talk to. The most important piece is the fact that we have two employer services managers now. As Janice said earlier, she does West Texas and North Texas, and then Taylor does Central Texas and the Gulf Coast. Taylor took over my caseload that I was managing since 2008. So here is a list of everything that these employer services managers can do, anything from technical assistance with DCI, transfer or new clients, budgets, hire to hire staff, on and on and on. They are your day-to-day contacts. They are the ones, they are your one-stop shop. They are there to serve you. Also, Melissa Paris, who just presented, she puts the money in the bank. So that is her role, but she is the key contact for change with W-4s to be able to get your W-2s in the portal and all those kind of good things. Nancy is a payroll coordinator, and she deals directly with DCI on the topics that she just talked about shifts longer than 24 hours and what have you. And then Michelle is the CDS operations manager and the DCI administrator. And then, as I said earlier, I'm the chief operating officer for CDS. Our contact information is on here so that you know exactly how to reach us. We really appreciate your time. I do see a couple questions in the chat. I did say that we wouldn't answer questions during the webinar because we knew we'd be short on time, and it's 12:48 now. But I would like for you to submit your questions to me, to the DCI help, whichever way you want to go, so that we can get them answered. Always remember that our website is available all the time, and we keep it updated. This is not something that goes to sleep. We work hard to keep it updated because it's really a great way to communicate information. But the other way to communicate information is in DCI now, in splash messages and in emails. So does anybody from Imagine staff have anything else they want to offer before we say goodbye?
I just
would
want
like
to say
to
that I
add-
appreciate everyone's coming and paying attention, and this will be recorded. So your peers, your friends who are also our clients, encourage them to go back and review this. We appreciate you coming.
Yes.
One question, Cheryl, that I did get asked in the past, and I just got remembered in the chat to remind, if you have any vacation requests for your employees or bonus requests or any other types of forms that you used to email out to the timesheet email box, go ahead and send those types of documents to the DCI help email instead.
That's a great idea. Yes, we will be closing out that timesheet email address eventually. So just to let you know that. And we really do appreciate your partnership and your collaboration, employers and your employees as well. Changing EVV vendors is not fun, but we made it through. And that's what I keep on telling myself every day, that we made it through. We feel that we've chosen a wonderful system that really is next level and it puts the employer in control. You're the employer. So we love that. I want to let y'all know that we're going to be doing these every couple of months to give information. And you're more than welcome to share this information with your staff because it does involve tasks that they'll be doing. So we encourage you to do that. Again, we should have the recording and the presentation up on our website probably early next week. So with anybody else from Imagine staff have anything else to add? All right, y'all have a wonderful weekend, or upcoming weekend. It's a Halloween weekend, and we hope to have you join us again. Thank you.